As the proposed date for the Starship's 6th test flight draws near, SpaceX has been making some important upgrades to both the Starship and booster in preparation for the launch. Even the launch pad and Mechazilla tower are being prepared for the test, and soon we might see everything stacked up and ready to go. But what upgrades have been made to the Starship and its booster? Will SpaceX be ready by November the 11th as planned? Most importantly, will we see the new launch pad in use soon? I'll cover everything in today's video. Let's dive right in. With the promise of seeing Starship launch again by mid-November 2024, SpaceX is working rapidly to return the ship and its booster to the launch pad and prepare it for showtime. Incredibly, the past month has been filled with discussions about Starship and how its readiness for missions like the Artemis program and Polaris mission is accelerating. Indeed, it's safe to say we are in the Starship era. Before we dive into the upgrades for the 6th test flight, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share this video with your fellow space enthusiasts. By doing that, you'll stay updated on every launch, breaking news, and surprise in the world of space. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're excited and ready for liftoff. Now let's get down to it. The static fire of the Super Heavy booster for the 6th test flight, B-13, took place on Thursday, October 24th, alongside other tests, including the pneumatic proof test, cryogenic test, thrust vector control test, and an evaluation of the launch mount's detonation suppression system. All tests appeared very successful based on the clips we've seen, showing that the booster is truly ready to fly. After the tests, the booster was lifted off the pad and returned to the Mega Bay. The launch pad used for the test, Pad A, then underwent extensive scaffolding reconstruction to allow engineers access to other parts of the pad for further testing. This is a crucial step in maintaining the launch pad after a test fire, as bearing the load of the booster, followed by the intense heat and pressure, can reduce the structural integrity of the launch mount. Talk about the launch pad breaking down even before the 6th test flight happens, yikes! The scaffolding around the launch pad at Boca Chica enables engineers to test several other complex structures involved in the flight, including the Orbital Launch Integration Tower, OLIT, better known as the Mechazilla Tower. Aside from rebuilding the launch pad scaffolding, another upgrade we should talk about is the improvement to the Mechazilla chopsticks. We know how nearly perfect the B-12 return was, but its landing between the Mechazilla chopsticks left scratch marks on them. As we saw in one of my recent videos, SpaceX plans to increase the soft padding on the chopsticks, this time aiming to further reduce the sagging effect when catching the booster. Additionally, the chopsticks will be shortened to decrease the risk of the Mechazilla tipping as the booster lands. On October 28th, the chopsticks were raised to their standard height before launch. This could have been a calibration test to ensure they moved accurately up and down the tower and are fully prepared to catch the booster. It might also be SpaceX's way of signaling that Mechazilla is ready for the test flight. The ship's quick disconnects on the tower also need repairs, as they may have lost some functionality following the 5th test flight. Although post-flight checks have been completed, not much has been done in terms of repairs, likely because SpaceX is saving this task for last. Upgrades to Ship 31. While Booster B-13 is almost ready for launch, the Starship S-31, which will be used for the 6th test flight, isn't quite finished, though it's nearly there. We all know the main and probably only repair needed for the Starship is to its heat shield and its arrangement, a feature SpaceX is still perfecting on the ship. Flights 4 and 5 revealed some interesting details about the heat shield. Flight 4 showed that only about half of the ship needs to be covered with ceramic tiles, while Flight 5 went further to show that not every part of the covered half needs to be tiled. As we mentioned in a previous video, SpaceX has been replacing the old tiles they originally installed on the Starship, and now they're going even further by removing the newer tiles they had put in place. Yes, Starship might not have its usual dark side when we see it on the launch pad again, as the company might only be using a small fraction of heat shield on the ship. They probably learned from Flight 5 that the shielded area may have been overprotected, especially considering that a significant number of the tiles came off during re-entry. A Starship without a heat shield would be a really crazy idea. Other upgrades. The hot staging ring used for the 5th test flight was recently recovered from the Gulf of Mexico and returned to Starbase for analysis. SpaceX found that it was still in good condition, though reusing it might not be feasible yet, as the ring would definitely need repairs. The B-12 booster had suffered some browning on its topmost part, where the hot staging ring blasted off. SpaceX plans to permanently attach the ring to each Super Heavy booster, making it so that each booster has its own hot staging ring, and both would be fully reusable without requiring drastic repairs. While this might be a long shot for the overachieving company, it raises the question of whether a hot staging ring could even be made reusable. Well, let's leave that to SpaceX. Another planned upgrade is to have the Starship caught in the same way as the Super Heavy booster by the Mechazilla tower. SpaceX is finally looking to say goodbye to Splashdowns as it plans to implement a new landing technique for Starship, where it would land directly between the chopsticks. We already know the damage caused to Starship during Splashdowns. Aside from the impact, which can seriously distort the ship's structure, there is also a high likelihood of rust developing while the ship is returned to Starbase post-splashdown. Splashdowns also drastically reduce Starship's reusability, as the ship undergoes a lengthy process of retrieval, analysis, and repairs before it can be launched again. Additionally, there's the issue of durability and the ship's life cycle, both of which are significantly impacted by splashdowns. Anyway, the new landing technique might involve SpaceX building a new Mechazilla tower specifically for Starship, and possibly making a few changes to the ship, such as extending its upper wings slightly to allow it to fit more securely between the chopsticks. The chopsticks themselves might also undergo structural changes to help improve the catch. Finally, let's talk about the new launch pad OLMB. You've probably been wondering how far SpaceX has progressed with the pad, so let's take a look at some of the details. The site for the new launch pad has recently undergone significant changes, one of which is the increased depth of its trench. We don't yet know exactly how deep SpaceX intends to dig to enhance the pad's stability, but it's clear that it will be very deep. Due to the waterlogged area and recent rainfall, the trench has faced setbacks and is now filled with a large amount of water. Engineers overseeing the construction are currently working on draining it. In the meantime, the rebar structure has been installed within the launch pad. Pipes intended for the launch pad have also been moved to the site, and the continuous flight auger is currently installing sheet piles into the ground to support the pad. It is likely that the new launch pad will be the first to launch the new Starship Super Heavy pair, the V3 model. This version is significantly taller than the current V2s and even larger in size. Its power will be a staggering 10,000 tons of thrust, much greater than the V2's 8,000 tons. Additionally, the V3 series will likely be the first to use the new Raptor 3 engines, and it may have around 35 of them on the Super Heavy, rather than the current 33. Indeed, we are looking at the future. We've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Space Minds for the latest updates on our space news and adventures.